Let's rock it.
Welcome back to Another Dimension. I'm Quinn.
I'm Trask.
I am Taylor.
Hey, Taylor.
Hello.
Hey, Taylor.
How you doing?
The sun was out today, so I'm
Yeah,
good.
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm ready for summer.
I am. Ready to sit on the deck.
Yeah. We'll hop right into it. This week in the news, do you have any idea where the beef is? Where's the beef?
Arby's.
Yeah, right down the road. In Bean Station, Tennessee, two semi-loads of processed meat were stolen. They didn't find out for a couple weeks, I think, or a week, when the end customer called and said, hey, my truckloads never showed up. Well, after they started researching it, the company that was contracted to haul the load went completely silent and haven't been able to find where this beef is. They're estimating it to be about $350,000 in stolen beef. No idea where it is. And the company that hauled it was called List Trucking Sales. Sounds legit.
Sounds totally legit.
Yeah.
So if you see that on the side of their truck, which
I'm sure it's probably not on the side of the truck. But yeah, can you imagine? Like, how does that even happen? Seems fishy. They're pretty stringent.
Yeah. Like you have food guidelines.
Unless it was like a broker that was set up with them that sent in some crappy carrier, which could be a possibility, I guess.
Or they were in on it.
Right.
Here I go with the conspiracy theory again.
Yeah, could. Next week's teaser topic, bad habits and complacency.
Yeah, Matt brought that up to me the other day. And we had kind of referenced it in the last podcast.
Right.
Unbeknownst to him, he hadn't seen it yet.
Right.
But I thought it would be a good topic to elaborate on. And then Dennis came in yesterday and said, hey, yeah, I was at a shared customer with another competitor of ours. And he said, man, you should see, they don't care about securement. They just put it on there. And I don't think he said anything, or if the other guy said something to him like, well, it's just going back to our yard. It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Yeah. And that's when things happen.
Right.
And that's what Matt's point was too. He's like, bad habits and complacency, and, just because you do something a certain way doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
And, so we'll get into that a little bit next week. It'll be fun.
That'll be exciting. If you have anything prior to next week, shoot us a message. If you want anything covered or any examples
and things things you see on the road. We always relate to flatbed, but corner protection on your straps, flags on oversize or whatever it
may be.
Yeah.
Just any bad habits. I
Airlines
guess it really
laying on the catwalk.
Right. It doesn't necessarily even need to be flatbed related. It could be trucking related, industry related, whatever it may be. PPE, any of those kind of things. Word of the week. You have any idea what ground clouds are?
Ground clouds?
Yeah. You probably do.
Something to do with exhaust? Maybe?
Different type of cloud.
Is that what the young kids do with their diesel trucks?
Ooh, those kids are cool.
What is it? Rolling coal?
Rolling coal.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
What about when it's raining and it's throwing that mist up?
Good guess. It's foggy conditions. So that's the word of the week.
Didn't somebody back their truck into a local bar? They got kicked out or something? I think this was in Freedom. And And then they backed their diesel truck up to the front door.
Yep.
And filled the bar with diesel smoke. Yeah.
When was this?
It was a while ago, but
yeah. But I do remember hearing that. Yeah. I also saw a video of a guy yesterday who goes to trade his car in. They give him a really crappy deal, and he goes out. He drives it right through the glass front door into the offices and gets out, throws him the keys, and walks away. Yeah.
Well, what are you gaining? That's just stupid.
A record.
Right. Oh my gosh.
That's a child who got away with everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy's money.
my name's on the title. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
remember that.
Last week we talked about this week's topic and the new bill that was proposed in Arkansas. state abbreviation AR, not AK, about the Secure Roads and Safe Trucking Act of 2025.
It's going to be a dandy.
I guess let's dive right into it. What do you know about it? And we've talked about this for the past week. Breaks down to, in Arkansas, they are proposing a new bill. I think it was like 1859 was the bill number, that is going to require all CDL commercial drivers of all aspects of vehicles.
And if we hold on a second, right now CDLs are federally regulated.
Correct.
So this
By
will be at the state level.
This will be at the
in
state
Arkansas.
level. Yep. Which we'll get into. But they are proposing a bill that is going to require all aspects of CDL drivers, whether that is school buses, whatever that may be, to require a domestically issued commercial's driver's license. The bill also states that these CDL holders need to have a proficiency in English, be able to read and write, and be able to communicate.
Read signs.
Street signs.
Yep.
And then they're developing a new standardized testing to test this.
Right. So I don't know if this is an issue, and we'll get into this, but there's something called non-domiciled CDL holders. And I believe there's reciprocity with Mexico and Canada and the United States. So if you are a CDL holder in one of those countries,
Yep.
we are free to drive there, a commercial vehicle. Now, non-domiciled means...
But not if you move there and live, right?
I don't know that answer.
Okay.
Then I would think you'd have to get a seat or at least
That
change
country.
get your license,
Right.
at least your address changed.
Right.
I'm not sure on that. But one of the issues is they're getting non-domiciled drivers, which means they could be from El Salvador, they could be from Venezuela, Mongolia, all those, foreign countries that come here and are issued CDLs, but some of the people can't speak English. And, obviously I feel that's dangerous.
Yeah, but is that an issue? I don't understand how that's an issue just in Arkansas. Like that should be an issue across the FMCSA, and the FMCSA requires every commercial driver to get a CDL.
Right. So my hunch is there's a politician who wants to make a name for themselves,
Okay.
maybe being funded by somebody, I don't know, or there's an issue there that they've seen firsthand,
Yep.
and people are sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah. I mean, or they're not, stricter standards, or maybe they're trying to get approval for other, enforcement or task force or whatever that may be. Right. But it's just kind of weird to me. Like, there's got to be something bigger to this.
There's got to be a trigger, right?
Right. Arkansas can't be the only state that's dealing with this. I mean, there's safety hazards of not being able to read or write, nor would I want to. Imagine, put yourself in that person's shoes. They're trying to work, right? Let's say we're in Mexico. You can't read the street signs. How do you know where you're going?
GPS.
When you get somewhere, how do you know? I mean, you have your phone app and all those kind of things, which make things a little bit easier. But can you imagine having to do your job today in a different country?
Yeah. No, I couldn't.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I feel like if somebody's here and how do I make this politically correct? You know what? All right, it is what it is. If you are in the United States of America and you want to work and you're tax paying here, legal citizen or legal here on visa, whatever, and you're doing the right things, I have no problem with that.
100%.
But if there is an issue, and I don't know if there is, that some of these people are jumping in semis,
right,
which are 80,000-pound torpedoes,
stealing loads of beef
in Tennessee, it's not safe.
No, it's not safe to you. It's not safe to anyone. Mm-hmm. It's not safe to them.
No, and some of them, unbeknownst, they might not even know what they're doing.
Well,
like, hey, I'm just trying to make a living. I don't know the ramifications of this.
Or they're doing it to protect their family or whatever that may be because they have to. You never know.
Yeah.
But take that one step further. These drivers, let's say that this is happening. These drivers aren't paid the wages of American truck drivers.
No.
Whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, that's a different topic. But what does that do to the industry?
Kills it.
How
right?
come? Yeah. How come?
Well, I mean, if you're paying me 80 cents a mile and I'm paying you 30 cents a mile, I can do it 50 cents a mile cheaper in theory.
Right.
So I'm going to get, more freight and just keep them busy.
Right.
And it's bad. If it's actual, and I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but
I
they're
don't
talking
think-
about it.
It's 100% in the news, but I don't know if this is an actual issue, in my opinion. I think that it's brought up for a different reason. I'm not saying that this hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know enough about that. I shouldn't say it's not an issue, but I don't think it's a clear issue. Much like a lot of the news we get these days, what do you believe, right?
Right.
Moving on, is this a ploy on immigration? Is this a ploy on anything? You don't know, right? But what are the economic impacts of this quote unquote problem happening?
Well, right. And like you said, what is the problem?
Right.
The term cabotage, right?
Right.
So cabotage, we talked about this many, many episodes ago.
Yeah, the fuel shortage one.
Yep, where you couldn't. What cabotage is where if I'm a U.S. driver, so I'm going up to Canada, I cannot haul another load from Canada to Canada
After you deliver your shipment.
intra-country, if you will.
Right.
Right. So people are coming to the United States from Mexico, from Canada, and then they kind of get into the system, and then they're hauling coast to coast or whatever, staying within the states at depressed wages.
Right.
I see that as
I think that's
a real
probably,
problem. Like
right.
I think it's actual.
And let's back that up a little bit further and take it back into our current thing. Them coming to the United States to deliver a shipment is not illegal.
No.
They're doing that legally. They have to get into the States through customs, just like, we have drivers in Canada at the time time we're recording this. We have to follow their guidelines and get there. Once we're there, us going there to deliver, short of us doing our due diligence and getting everything done and having
Following the
proper
process.
there's nothing illegal about that.
No, in the end, we are allowed to bring one back from Canada to the United States.
But from the time we get there, I guess that's something I don't know. Like, do they have like a check-in, check-out kind of thing, like a master database? Because would they even know if one of our drivers is up there bebopping around, delivering a load from here to here to here? Because that's what cabotage is. Mm-hmm. Let's say a driver from Mexico delivers a load to Green Bay, Wisconsin. In theory, the next load they pick up, doesn't matter where, en route back home, it's got to go back to Mexico. They can't take a load from Green Bay to Houston and then a load from Houston into Mexico.
Correct.
So how do we prevent that? I think that's the bigger issue.
I don't think we are. And
Right.
I do think there probably are ways, though, right?
There's
if
gotta be a
if
way
you're
if you're
crossing
checking
way
in.
stations,
Right.
there's cameras. But does the government care?
Well, and has that issue been brought up? I'm sure it has. We're not the only ones that have ever thought of this, right?
I mean, it's in the news,
Right.
so
Right. But
somebody's talking about it.
I don't think what's in the news is the whole story.
Correct.
So,
It never is.
yeah. Moving into let's go into reciprocity, right? Between our Canada and Mexico and the United States. In theory, if we put this in and this is federally mandated, and let's just be hypothetical here. We're a Canadian-based carrier that's got a customer that we deliver to frequently down to Arkansas. We're no longer going to be able to do that because we do not have a U.S.-held CDL.
Run that
right.
by me again. I think I missed it.
Let's say we're a Canadian-based carrier.
Oh, yeah.
We have a customer that we deliver to in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
If this bill goes through, we no longer can deliver to Arkansas. We do not have a domestically issued CDL. That's what the bill is proposing. I don't know what
Just
trumps
to the
it.
state of Arkansas?
Well, yeah, because that's,
Yeah.
I
I don't know that, but,
Me either, but-
legally, and people probably fight me on this or don't really know it, but if you are an intra-state carrier, meaning within your state,
yeah,
or you are an intra-state CDL holder and you work for Quick Transport, right?
right.
I cannot bring a load from Illinois into Wisconsin, drop it in our yard, and have you deliver it because that is
Correct.
an interstate
It came from out of state.
move. Yep.
Right.
So if you are an intra-state carrier, you can only move freight within those.
That originates
borders
and
and ends.
and terminates
Yeah.
in that state. Right.
Yeah.
But if you do that, going back to the border, what are all those Mexican carriers that are coming into the United States going to do? That could cause a huge trade delivery issue.
Is that what that bill is actually saying?
Yeah.
Well, I think you see more warehouses at the border.
Right. I'm proposing, like, if Arkansas isn't the only state to do this, let's say Texas did this.
Yeah.
What does that do to that commerce? Mexico is for sure
If you're in the warehouse business,
right? But Mexico is for sure going to return the
favor.
Yeah. Canada too.
I would think so.
And at that point, it's just going to halt a lot of things.
That's why I don't see this happening.
Me either. I don't. But it's just, it's crazy to think about, and I don't think it's thought through and proposed and marketed correctly. Maybe we're missing something.
It is the same concept as the intrastate, right? It just
100%.
be intra-country,
right?
And we have all interstate drivers, but I'll guarantee you there's companies that are operating that have intrastate drivers, and they may not even know that they're breaking the law.
Right. But it's not enforced either, really.
Not to my knowledge.
Right. Should it be?
I don't. Right. Like which battle do you want to fight?
Right. Is there other things that we can put our time on?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess recapping on everything, Arkansas is introducing the Safe Roads and Trucking Act of 2025. It is proposing that all CDL holders in the state of Arkansas have a domestically issued CDL, and the drivers be proficient in English and be able to read and write street signs, be able to communicate with police officers, whatever that may be.
Yep.
The current FMCSA regulations require all this already.
Not the domiciled CDL hold, though.
Yeah. In order to look at the regulations, in order to be able to get a CDL, you need to be able to read and write.
Yeah. But they don't require. You can have a Canadian CDL.
100%.
But in this bill, they're saying you can't.
Yeah, it's got to be domestically issued.
Yeah.
Yep. But I suppose I didn't even talk about that, because right now, if I can read and speak English, but I have a Canadian license, where's that
You're
line?
fine.
Yeah. But may not be. They're proposing that. They're going to require the proficiency. The FMCSA currently has all of these same regulations at the federal level. This is just a more in tune, I don't know, political stunt, whatever it may be.
This is somebody trying to make a name for themselves.
And then there's other issues. I mean, the economic impacts. I mean, if this does go into effect, what does it do to driver wages? What does it do to Arkansas as basically the center of the United States as a logistical hub? You start talking all about all these theoretical things, maybe there's warehouses all around it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer those questions.
It's like they're seceding from the union, right?
Right. They're trying to become their own state.
We talk about California.
Right.
Everybody has a stance on that, but
could shipping costs skyrocket
to and from that state?
Or to and from, in theory, are there going to be less drivers on the road? I don't think so, but there could be. So all of those things paired with cabotage. What's your take?
I don't think there's any substance to it, if I'm being honest.
Fair.
There's something that had to come up, God forbid this is what happened, but maybe somebody without a CDL or whatever had a tragic accident, right? Then there's going to be uproar. And hey, if this was the reason, this is what we need to do to fix it. That'd be unfortunate, but that's my hunch that there's something that happened that is causing this. And I don't know that it's a huge, why Arkansas?
Right. I don't get it. But you just said something that, if a driver, I don't think it's 100% on the driver. This is on a company level too.
100%.
Because they shouldn't be right.
In the article, it said, or one of the articles, I think you get a $5,000 fine if you're a driver,
and $10,000 if you're
10 if you're a company. Yeah.
Right. But if that's the case, there's other issues.
But hold on, put that in perspective. Put this in perspective. What's a fine for using your CD or your phone in a commercial vehicle?
We didn't even cover our safety topic.
We'll
this
get
week.
there. Now we're coming back.
Here we go.
Wasn't it $2,600?
Yeah.
And the company fine is 11 grand or something.
Something.
More than this, not even having a CDL thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Cell phones are more
I have
dangerous.
a problem with that too. Like if I tell you, here's the policy, do not use your cell phone in my truck, and you do it, how can I be held responsible for that?
I agree with that. But
So-
in the laws of, is it a cost of doing business? Is it?
Shouldn't be.
I'm not. I know that, and I'm not. You're gonna punch me.
Wow.
That hurt his heart.
Yeah.
We as a company should know and trust our guys that they're not doing it. If they are,
Which is why I'm headstrong on never sending emails and texts to somebody when they're driving.
100%. But if they pick up that phone, that should not be your fault. But it is,
As long as they were trained. And
as long as we had the proper documentation in place. But ultimately, what do you always say? Who do you have to answer to? It's your name on the side of the door, right?
yeah, and I got to answer to everybody.
Right. Everyone. But I guess that's an inherent
That goes with the territory.
Crappy,
Yep.
not cost of doing business. That was the wrong term, but crappy situation.
Yeah. So anyways, that's going to bring us into our safety topic of, it's more of just an annoyance, right? I don't know. Pay attention. Pay attention when you're driving. Pay attention when you're walking down the street, when you're walking across the parking lot. You see people all the time looking at their phones, looking down, walking across the parking lot.
Right.
It's like, hey, you can trip, you can fall, you can get hit, there's all kinds of stuff.
I have a 14-year-old at home that if you do not yell to get his attention, even if we're in the same room, the world passes him by. Just
Yep.
But it's crazy how in tune to these phones people are, or whatever that device may be.
Yeah, now I'm riled up.
Let's hear it.
Like, no, it's not even a maybe it is a safety thing, but
Respect.
it's a respectful yes. Like, I do not want to hear your conversation while you're walking on the treadmill, or you're standing in line at the grocery store, or like there was one the other night, and this person was talking about they went to PF Chang's in Appleton, and they had edamame, and they did this, and they went with Trask, and then Trask kind of ditched them, and this whole night story. I don't care,
That was at
and
the
I
gym. That was
don't.
at the gym.
Yes, it's just rude.
It is so.
Yeah.
rude.
Put your earbuds in and listen to music or listen to our
Something.
podcast and
Talk on the way home,
Right.
on the drive.
right.
It's just rude.
Yeah.
Well, most gyms have very clear signs like cell phone conversations, please take to lobby or outside. They're plastered all over mine, and every day it's somebody.
So I go to the Y, and it's probably a little bit more politically correct,
Oh, yeah.
more
Why do you go
accepting.
there,
That is exactly the word
Location.
that was in my head.
Accepting.
Yes.
Location and
Yeah.
ease.
Is it close? Do you guys have one close?
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's new and nice. But anyway.
Do you have any more rants?
No,
This is
I
kinda
just.
fun.
I'm glad you said that one. I'm so
I
happy.
hate cell phone usage in improper situations.
It's kind of
Like,
last week we just did an episode on embracing technology, right?
yeah.
And you just said you hate cell phones.
I don't like the way they are used and relied upon in certain situations.
Right. That's fair.
It completely dilutes like your like natural senses. Like
You don't know what's going on around you.
Well, I'm always one where like if I'm out in public, like, and I don't know if it's just a personal thing, but like I look around, like I'm always kind of like keeping an eye on things. People don't do that anymore.
No.
I mean, like 100 people could get murdered behind them, and if they have their phone and AirPods in, they'd never know.
This is probably going to sound cheap or old or dirty. I don't know. But I still find like pennies and I find change all the time because I don't walk with my head down, but I keep, like you said, awareness.
Yeah. You're in the moment.
Somebody one day was like, "You're going to pick that up? It's dirty and COVID and all this." Whatever.
You want to know what I do with them?
Throw it in my mouth and suck on it. It'd be fine. I don't know.
That's how you build an immune
Right.
system.
Right. That's why we're strong.
I have a special piggy bank down in my office at home.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I find a penny or any type of change on the ground, I pick it up, say something I'm thankful for, and I put it in that piggy bank. And then I haven't cashed it in, but someday I will.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, it's just kind of something fun.
Someday they're not going to be worth anything.
Right.
Or they'll be worth millions because they're not. A
Right.
penny's not going to be worth a penny
Right.
because they're not.
They're already worth 2 cents. They cost 2 cents to make,
Yeah.
and they're worth a penny. But,
Really?
yeah, I think so.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Do we want to do a trivia this week? We haven't done one in a while. I have one.
Do
Go
it.
for it.
What percentage of truck drivers in the United States are immigrants? Kind of ties into
Oh.
our...
Yeah, I had an interesting. Remember, I told you I pulled something out of that article that you wrote.
Yeah.
Because you always pick on me about being old. What? And I was floored by this. Doesn't have to be a trivia question, but what did they say was the average age of a truck driver?
46 years old.
46 years old. That floored me.
I thought it'd be way older.
Yeah, like late 50s.
Yep.
So
That's a good thing.
Well, I thought about that a little bit. If the
Are you-
average retirement age was 65, right? And people get in the industry when they're early 20s, 46 is right smack in the middle.
Right.
So I think by those numbers, we're doing good as an industry.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I never thought of that.
I just didn't feel old anymore.
Well, are you at the average age?
I'm the average age. Just average. It's awesome.
I'm below average.
Another
Usually.
thing that I read, I know I'm just going off, but flatbed spot market tenders, or not spot market tenders, rate tenders were down 41.6% this week.
Why?
They attributed to, and they did some research to the tariffs going into effect on April 2nd. So
Why would that make them go down? Rejections.
I'm sorry, rejections went up. People.
Oh.
So what that means is, if I gave you you committed to a lane, so I tendered you a load, and you said, "Hey, I cannot do that because you're busy doing other stuff."
Fucking scorecard. Sorry, scorecards.
So tender rejections went up 41.6%. So meaning that carriers are taking less freight that they committed to. So
That doesn't make sense.
why not?
I don't know.
Oh, they said it was due to tariffs because there's other commodities that are moving to get ahead of it.
I see.
And the hardest or the largest tender rejection areas were Portland and Dallas. So we should be able to get out of Dallas a lot easier than we have been.
Also, at that point, like if you would have said Chicago or Gary, Indiana, where all the
Portland,
steel
maybe is there Portland? Probably. Or lumber. I don't know.
right? Like those hubs for the big thing, like the general building
Or
supplies.
did they get out of the outlying areas, get to the center of the country to haul all the stuff? I don't know.
Maybe.
That's just what I read.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's weird. Like how do you put this all together and make an educated decision on anything when this is this and this is that and
Go with your gut.
right, go with your gut. Thanks for listening. That was horrible.
Good segue.
We'll start that off.
Good segue.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Go with
share.
your gut and keep listening.
Yeah, go with your gut.
Follow us. We're up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Continue to like, share, and tell your friends.
Yep.
And tune in on Mondays at 10 a.m.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.